So, Werner, thank you very much for your time today. And first of all, thank you very much for joining the advisory board of Solulever. We are really pleased and really glad to have you on board.
Thank you so much. I was really looking forward to it and looking forward to our talk.
Wonderful. So, Werner, let's talk a little about Industry 4.0 as such. This is a topic that has been going on, has been spoken of for over a decade now. What we see is that the reality is now surfacing. The rubber is meeting the road, so to speak. There are companies which are taking serious initiatives in digital manufacturing space particularly. What has been your observation in the market? How do you see the space evolving?
Yeah, so let's start with an anecdote. I started my professional career 30 plus years ago in a department called Computer Integrated Manufacturing. And now here we go, we talk about decades ago, we started on Industry 4.0 as the term was coined. So the reality is that underlying topics, solution modalities have been simmering around and expressing itself at a different speed in different industries. So I would say the environment is ready now for maybe taking it more serious and moving forward, not just for the big giants, but really making that accessible, the solutions, the principles, the involvement of an organization who wants to really embrace the benefits of a digitally enabled manufacturing environment.
Sure.
So I think it's there, it's real, it's available, and that makes it so exciting. Now it's about the choices of enterprises to do the next step.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more. And I think what we are also seeing is that at least the bigger manufacturers in the subsectors of manufacturing are now moving beyond the convoluted, endless episodes of POCs after POCs and getting into long-term investments in the space of digital manufacturing. What do you feel about it? Like with any technology wave, we feel that for a long period of time, customers were still in that experimental mode, shying away from committing major investments, major budgets on the topic of digital manufacturing. Do you see that really changing, in your markets that you observe?
I think it's an interesting question in regards to the manufacturing environment.
Sure.
The underlying philosophy in manufacturing is actually rather do versus talk, being real rather than following a very exciting vision. Yeah. So not surprisingly, POCs were at the DNA of manufacturing environments. Do something small, prove that it works. Don't just believe an idea. You want to see it in action. So I think that's the reason why POCs have been so much embraced in a manufacturing environment.
Sure.
But I think there's a broader realization that foundational capabilities have to be in place. You can't have sub-departmental platform strategies.
Right.
You cannot have thousands of micro data cultures in an environment, in a plant, or let alone a manufacturing network. So I think there is a better understanding of the benefits of certain core foundational capabilities, process, technology, organizational capabilities, in order for a manufacturing environment to deliver on this next scale of objectives that they're being presented with. Smaller improvements at a line may not cut it anymore. A gradual improvement on an annual basis is needed, but the changes on an environment and perspective of what manufacturing has to do to react to market swings, to move away from a single line thinking into a connected manufacturing network. So you need to have some foundational interconnectivity in play. And I think that is not just the realization of some departments within a manufacturing environment. I think it really becomes like a base understanding. We need to be different in order to be successful as a manufacturer in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well said, Werner. Thank you so much for your thoughts. And I think for that comprehensive digitization strategy to be put in place, you very rightly mentioned that there has to be a right foundation, and we strongly believe the same as well. Let's shift gears and talk about what everyone is talking about these days, which is COVID-19. It, of course, has given a boost to the digitization agenda across industries. Be it in the sector of logistics, transportation, which was severely hit. Banking particularly has been, seeing some major changes in terms of their ways of doing business. How do you see it impacting manufacturing?
Yeah, I would start with quoting Winston Churchill. I think he said once, "Never miss a good crisis." Since years, manufacturing wasn't at the centerpiece of company strategies. It was more on the commercial side. The business models were talked about. But COVID brought to the visibility of everyone, if you don't have a product, you don't have a business. And the challenges in logistics, the challenges with raw material accessibility, come so fundamental that manufacturing strategies become much more visible as a key element of company successes. So in a way, COVID brought the attention that manufacturing deserves into place, and supply chain as well. So I think those go, for me, interconnected on that. COVID as well challenged existing paradigms. Things that you thought about, like concept like just in time. Obviously, yes, you do that. Well, think about it again in times where our redundancies versus efficiency. We always had kind of beliefs, what is a healthy stock level? But what is a healthy stock level if you are producing an essential good? So the paradigms economically, functional strategy-wise have been all put to test. And hence, I think COVID is kind of an accelerator of rethinking, freeing your business principles from history.
Sure.
So reassess what you really want to become. COVID is your chance to change.
Excellent. Well put, Werner. Thanks a lot for that. And talking about the changing paradigms, one element I think we should definitely talk about is the technology, and digital manufacturing per se, has been dominated by the MES thinking or application-based functional thinking for a very long time. We observe that there's a shift in there as well, because especially because of the introduction of open data platforms, and more companies are adopting that strategy from technical architecture perspective. What do you feel about that? Do you see it happening as well?
Well, one way, as we talk about manufacturing environment, and architecture feels like an anachronism, because the only architectural principle I could see being delivered in manufacturing was pragmatism. Yeah? It was pragmatic to run 20 years old operating systems in critical areas. That was what it was. So at least, maybe generalizing, but it's an interesting, what's the role, what's the importance of architecture in the whole set of priorities in a manufacturing environment? What would have been first compromised? A short-term need versus an architectural principle that gives you scalability in the future. So I see there's a kind of a realization of the importance architecture as such needs to be looked at and cherished in manufacturing. I mean, this to me is the first coming out, so to speak, in a manufacturing environment. And now that comes with, why is that? You have to move away from asset-based thinking. You had an SAP system, you had an MES system, you had an analytical system, you had some weighing system. So you always attached things to a certain area, but you never thought about the integration, the interconnectivity has to be at the forefront. So I think there are many changes in the way those considerations being applied in a manufacturing environment. From a sideline topic for some, it becomes an element of effective manufacturing leadership. Architectural informed leadership, I think it's a differentiating element. And beyond all the other manufacturing technology changes that are also coming on top with 3D printing. So it's a really exciting time to be a leader in manufacturing, I think.
Wonderful. And in the same breath, I would say that topics like the data foundation or data strategy, topics like artificial intelligence are fast becoming boardroom topics. So they're not limited to the CIOs or the heads of engineering to deliberate upon. but they are being discussed and seriously deliberated upon in the boardrooms of manufacturing enterprises. Thanks again, Werner, for your perspectives there. And one question regarding Solulever. Again, thank you very much for accepting to join the advisory board of Solulever. What made you accept the offer? What excited you about Solulever?
Well, I'm working. So this is a privilege for me, the parts of my career, to think differently how I can create impact. So the first questions I always ask: do I have something to offer? Can I support? That's one element. The second element is I look at the leaders. Yeah, do they have a vision? Do they have a foundation on values, capabilities, and how about the ability to execute on their vision? And that for me was really a very refreshing way to discover your founding team, but also getting a basic understanding on the product pipeline and the roadmaps. It really felt like you are not facing a wave coming at you. I have the feeling it is now the right age for you to ride the wave, to be part of the solution, democratizing access to digital manufacturing capability for all kinds of enterprises. So this technical solution paired with approaches, how you bring best practices to play, allow to faster implementation time. To me, it feels like, I should say, maybe we sitting on something that is ready to be scaled, ready to make a real impact. So that's something that excited me very much, and I'm really honored to be accepted on your advisory board.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the encouragement here, Werner. Warm welcome once again to the Solulever Advisory Board. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hoi, Solu!